Hi everybody, hi Mia. So many of you may have wondered or not at all noticed that I haven't done like a face video for quite a few months, and there is a reason. Over the past year or so I have been unwell, and within the past I'd say 6 months I have received diagnoses of what's going on with me. So I now have been diagnosed with 2 autoimmune conditions. So it leaves me really dizzy. Sometimes I can't stand up for very long, or I can't walk very far on a bad day. On a good day, you wouldn't know, but on a bad day I can't go from sitting to standing for very long without getting really dizzy and needing to sit back down. I can't walk very far, which impacts my ability to take my kids to school. I have a lot of muscle pain and joint pain, especially in my hips, knees and feet. I've got notes here, so I'm looking down. I have a problem with thinning hair. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's getting quite thin. Just here, brain fog and confusion, swelling in the neck here. You can see that. It's my thyroid is like really swollen. Headaches, migraines that can kick me on my ass for a couple of days, where I'm sensitive to light and to sound. Noise hurts, light hurts. Absolutely intolerant to any sort of cold or any sort of heat. So on a hot day I can't have a cold shower because it is incredibly physically painful. You know that feeling you get when you have an ice cream headache? It's like that, but all over my body. Or that feeling when your fingers and your toes are cold and you step into a warm bath or a warm shower, and it feels like your fingertips and your toes are burning for a few seconds before you adjust to the temperature of the water. Pardon me. It's like that, but that feeling for me doesn't go away when I have a shower. It stays like that whole time, and it's incredibly painful. So I have 2 conditions. The first one being to do with my thyroid. It's a condition called Hashimoto's disease. It's an autoimmune disease. So my thyroid is basically it's this organ in your neck here, like a little butterfly shaped organ, and it's responsible for how energy is distributed through the body, and the hormone that it secretes helps balance your body's energy and whatnot. And mine has decided that it sees itself as a threat, and it started to attack and consume itself. So I have to take medication for that to try and balance that out. So it's a disease that can, you can halt its progression, but you can't reverse it. And if it gets to if it progresses further enough, this organ will have to be removed, and I'll have to have really strong medication for the rest of my life. I'm already on a medication that will be for the rest of my life, and if it progresses to a dangerous state, it can start to affect things like my heart. So that's one. And the other one I have at the moment, it's called Raynaud's syndrome, and it's like a spasm of your blood vessels. So I've got notes here. I'm going to pull them up because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I will disclaim that I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing you with anything, and if you feel like any of this rings bells in your own mind, see your doctor. I am not your doctor. Do not take what I'm saying as medical advice, because I am not. So it's my fingertips will go numb, and that there have been videos before I've complained about of having to stop doing things because my hands have gone completely numb. If you sit on your leg for too long, your whole foot will go white and it's numb. It's like that, but my whole hands will go numb, feet will go numb, I lose feeling in my nose and ears. They become incredibly cold, and it's something to do with a spasming of blood vessels. I'll see if it is an autoimmune condition as well, and I'm currently being tested for a few others, and so, you know, as I change, I'll let you know if anybody wants to know. But I also have this incredible tool that I've had to by myself, because while these conditions are disabling, they're not considered, at least in my country, a disability. They used to be. They were considered a disability, but with a new, I don't know, change in government, it was declassified as a disability and reclassified as just a chronic illness, which means a whole lot of help that people were able to access or were entitled to, they're no longer able to get that. So I've had to self-fund, but I have this cool so I can stay sitting and I can do things with my kids, but I can't, you know, walk. It takes far too much energy. Going from sitting to standing makes me incredibly dizzy a lot of the time. This is a new thing for me, and I do get very nervous going out in it. I am not very good at driving on the footpaths or the sidewalks, because we're in an agricultural town, which means it's a farming community. The entirety of our town is based around the farming lifestyle. So all of our footpaths are, you don't think about it when you're walking with your feet, but they're all on a camber. They're slightly angled, something you wouldn't notice with your naked eye, but if you're trying to wheel down the sidewalk, one of your arms is working harder than the other to keep yourself from drifting into the road. And crossing the street I find difficult at the moment because the curbs are at quite an angle, and I'm not very good at driving. Indoors I'm fine so far. I'm quite confident indoors, and I'm gonna have to figure out how to pop a wheelie to get up curbs and things. I'm slowly learning that. I did spring extra for anti-tip bars at the back. I'll insert a little picture here. If I do pop a wheelie, it'll stop me from falling all the way back and hitting my head. But yeah, our driveway is not like a concrete driveway. It's like a loose gravel, rocky drive, so it's kind of difficult. So if I want to go out, I basically use the chair, which his name is Belvedere. I just looked up common butler names and say his name is called Belvedere. And I take Belvedere down the drive, kind of like a walker, until I can get to a smoother area, and then I'll sit in him, and I'll either go in a taxi or my husband will help me down the street. So it's frustrating because some days I'm in incredible pain and brain fog. It's the kind of pain that Panadol, or some countries I think they call it Mitol or paracetamol and ibuprofen. It doesn't really touch, and I don't like taking strong pain-killing medication. I like being in control of my own senses. So if I can manage my pain and dizziness and whatnot in other ways, then I do that. But yeah, I find it very frustrating. It's been hard. But thinking back over the past couple of years, especially the past 2 Thanksgivings we've had, I was incredibly ill, and I had horrific migraines. And thinking back now, everything I know about what I have and all of its symptoms and how it presents, and if I get, like, one of the key things is to avoid emotional distress, because that can cause a flare-up, and you get stressed around Thanksgiving when you're cooking for 2 days for people. And that makes sense now as I think back why I was so ill in those times, why I really get ill around my birthday or birthdays in general, because you know, you get stressed, you want it to be good, you want everyone to be happy. But I now have a whole list of foods I'm not allowed to eat, including I've seen a lot of conflicting evidence on what I can and can't eat, but the one thing everyone can agree on is I'm not allowed seaweed or kelp anymore. And if anyone who knows me knows, I love sushi, I love seaweed, I love Asian cuisine, and that just doesn't just rule out seaweed, it rules out a lot of Asian cuisines where the like the base soups or broths have seaweed and kelp in it, and that I find incredibly, pardon me, first world problem, sad, because that was like one of my few treats that I liked that no one else in the household really liked, and that was like a really me thing. But it's also just salt in general. I have to be very careful about what kind of salt. I can't have iodized salt because the iodine stops the absorption of the medication, which I need in order to not have a flare-up and to stop it from like progressing to a worse state. So it's incredibly, I find it very difficult. This is new and I'm learning, and the whole discovering this thing was completely by accident. I went into my family doctor to say, hey, I'm done having kids, I want to shut up shop. And she's like, cool, well, standard procedure, we'll have a blood test and we'll write a referral to the OBGYN at the hospital, and you know, they'll spay and neuter. I'm like, cool beans. Went in, had a blood test, and I get a text message on a Sunday evening saying, call your doctor in the morning, we need to discuss the results of your blood test. And she rang me and she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what did I do? Because the list of things that I saw they were testing for was things like type 2 diabetes, and I freaked out because family members have type 2 diabetes. I'm like, but I pretty much only eat food that, you know, I cook, and I'm very careful kind of about what I eat. You know, I'm not a skinny girl, but I try to be good. And I was freaking out because my mind was like, oh God, I hope I don't have this type 2 diabetes thing. And I was panicking. I didn't want to. She rang me and she's like, we need to talk. I'm like, do I have diabetes? And she's like, no. You have low iron, but I've always had problems with my iron. And she goes, but you have this thing. I want to start you on medication, and then in 3 months we'll test you again and see where we're at, and then I'll be able to give you an official diagnosis, because if this medicine does nothing, then it was probably just like an excess antibody from some sort of infection. But if it doesn't change, then you know, you have this thing. And I went in and she's like, yep, you have this. I said, well, what's it called? What is its name? She goes, it's called Hashimoto's. So I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, or Hashimoto's disease, or it's got a whole bunch of different names, but are basically this organ in my throat. You can see like the slight bulge on the side of my neck here. It's quite swollen. That's it there. It's this autoimmune disease, and it's a flare. Some people say you can heal it, but from what I understand, you can pause its progression, but you can't reverse its effects. But yeah, so that's that. I'm currently being tested for a few other autoimmune things, because there is a lot of comorbidities, or things that it's like a condition that doesn't always come on its own. It comes usually paired with something else. So I'm being tested for a whole bunch of things, and so that's where I am at now. And it's also why occasionally, and I haven't in the past, I think 3 and a bit years, I have not missed a Sunday upload. There might be the odd occasion that I do, and this is why. I've also blown through all of my pre-recorded scheduled videos, so I'm recording this on a Saturday, the day before it's supposed to go up, and I'll watch this back. I probably won't edit it a whole bunch because I'm just rambling. I had a whole script of things I wanted to say so that it sound, you know, professional and like educational and stuff, but it is what it is, and I can't find it because we're also in the middle of moving, because the lease is ending where we are, so we have to find somewhere else to go, which is also incredibly difficult because it's a really small town. And even though it's technically illegal, a lot of people, when you go to apply for a rental, people are like, I can pay you an extra this much a week, and which you're not allowed to do, but quite often prospective landlords will go, okay, cool, and they'll take that. And having 4 children has made it difficult because a lot of landlords don't want to take the risk of having 4 children in the home. But yeah, so that's my update. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below, and I'll try my best to answer them, or you guys can educate each other. I'm not looking for medical advice or alternative therapies. I'm pleased with what my doctor's doing, and it seems to be working, so I'm pleased with what's going on. And this doctor's the first doctor that's ever really listened to me when I went in to get, to shut up shop. I said, she asked me about my previous cycles and symptoms and things, and I told her, she goes, that doesn't sound right. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to use like 56 tampons in a cycle. That's pretty bad. But, every other doctor I've had has been a male, and they've been like, well, I think you're just complaining a bit too much. It's probably just anxiety or this and that, and, I'm a doctor, you're a mum, so, kind of attitude, and I found it very frustrating. This doctor is female, and she's a mother, and so she knows what comes from, having that specific anatomy herself from her experience. She's also had the medical training. She also knows what's normal and not. And so that was very, very comforting. She listened to me, and so now, after she said I had this thing, I just like, well, what about all of these other symptoms I'm experiencing? Because I've always had these, there's got to be something that connects all of these things, like this joint pain, this brain fog, this fatigue, these migraines that just knock me out for days at a time on my ass, and everything like this. And as she says, you've got this autoimmune condition. I said, okay, cool. Is it connected to all of these other things? She's like, yep. In a nutshell, that's pretty much almost everything. A few of these things don't quite fit with the conditions I've been diagnosed with, but they're most likely comorbid conditions, which I have to have additional testing for, so we'll be getting that done pretty soon. And so, yeah, that's everything. Thoughts, comments, questions in the comment section below. Again, not a doctor. If you feel like you have something wrong with you, talk to your doctor and speak to them. I'm not diagnosing you. This is not a diagnosis type video. This is my personal experience. So yeah, that's that. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.